this another day of life. Thank you for the blessings you've given us. We ask that you will now be with us during this meeting. May everything we say and do here tonight be pleasing and acceptable to you. For it's in Christ's name I pray. Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome everybody to the Winfield City Council meeting August the 6th, 2020. I'm still on these COVID deals we ask everybody to try to respect one another with a mask and distancing to try to keep everybody safe and healthy. We don't want anybody to not try to respect one another during this time. First item on the agenda is approving minutes from the July 21st, 2020 council meeting. Council has no comments about how the minutes are written. I need to ask for a motion to approve those minutes. Second. All in favor? Next item on the agenda is resolution number 1265, a CDBG matching funds grant application. This CDBG, nobody has a copy of it. This particular one, that's for Regal. I have submitted an application for the CDBG grant for Regal Street up here going into Shadowwood. I think all y'all are familiar with it. We have passed this resolution to go forward with this grant, get it submitted to try to get these funds. Let me read this resolution, number 1265. It's authorizing approving application and matching funds for large city grant funds through the state of Alabama CDBG program. Whereas the city of Winfield is completing its application for large city grant funds through the state of Alabama's Community Development Block Grant Program. And whereas the city of Winfield concurs with objectives, needs, and program activities proposed therein, and whereas priorities and proposed program activities adopted by the city of Winfield were determined in accordance with state and federal guidelines and determination on the eligibility of activities. Therefore, be it resolved by the city of Winfield that said application shall be designed as the official application for the city of Winfield to be submitted to the Alabama Department of Economic and Community Affairs upon its completion. That the mayor is duly authorized to sign the said application for and on behalf of the city of Winfield, and is further authorized to execute all other documents required for application or disbursement of the state of Alabama Community Development Block Grant funds for the city of Winfield. That the city of Winfield hereby commits $56,968.56 of local matching funds necessary for the project completion should the grant request be approved. I need to ask for a motion to approve this request that I have submitted this. I need a second. All in favor? The next item on the agenda is results of the public hearing, alcohol resolution number 1266. As we set through that resolution, we had no opposition, nobody opposing the request that Winfield Food Mart has requested for a beer and liquor license, alcohol license for sale of retail beer. Let me read this resolution to you. Resolution number 2020-1266, whereas Winfield Food Mart LLC, located at 2652 U.S. Highway 43, Winfield, Alabama, has applied for an alcohol license for the sale of retail beer for off-premise consumption and for the sale of retail wine for off-premise consumption, and whereas Winfield Food Mart LLC has met all requirements as set forth in the ordinance for the issuance of such license. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Winfield, Alabama grant its consent to approval of the issuance of such license, subject to the laws and regulations governing such license. I need to ask for a motion to approve that license for Winfield Food Mart. Second. All in favor? Just got one. You just got one copy. You don't have two? Where's this other one? You got this resolution? Next item on the agenda is resolution number 1263, 264 Honeysuckle Drive.
Those were those resolutions, they came back up because we tabled them last time.
Yep.
But they'll just die for lack of action because there's nothing to do.
Both of them?
Yeah, both of them. There's nothing to do with those. Those matters are taken care of themselves.
Okay. And we're gonna go down to the next item on the agenda is approval of fuel bid specification. Does everybody have a copy of that fuel bid? So you're not in your folder? This is pretty much the same thing as it was last year, not changed anything on that. This is invitation for petroleum products for the city of Winfield, park, street, police, and fire. I believe it's the only ones we don't have any administration that uses those, buys those gas. We put this out for all licensed retailer gas and diesel retailers within the city of Winfield. Put it out for bid each year. Usually the bid is required to come in so much over rack price. What rack price is every Monday, I think, every Monday what the rack price is, this bid will be submitted for the overage amount of what that rack price is on that Monday. I need to ask for if anybody's got any changes or any comments on this, submitting this, mailing these bid requests out.
This is just to send it out. We haven't. He asked if we would receive. Typically, she sends them out to the licensed retailers, and then we post it locally.
Yeah, I think we make sure that every licensed retailer has the opportunity to bid that meets these requirements. It has to be within inside the city limits of Winfield and meet these requirements that's in this bid package. But everybody that's licensed inside the city that meets these requirements gets the mail out packet. And it will be, the bids will be submitted and be open the next council meeting, because we start every September with that fiscal year.
And Mayor, I believe the specs, we made a change to them last year before last, but I believe the specs are written such that every supplier, every license holder that supplies or has a station in Winfield has at least one station that meets the requirements of this bid, so the bid specs don't knock anybody out. Everybody's got at least one station that qualifies.
Yeah. If they meet the requirements.
It gives everybody an option.
Right.
A shot.
3. Has anybody got any question or comments on that? I just need to ask for, I guess, a motion to say that it's okay for the way these specifications is written to mail it out to the, I think it's going to be 3 distributors. Second, 10, all in favor? Next item on the agenda is park board member recommendation. We got somebody here that wants to recommend, that's got a recommendation.
Parker met and was unanimous on recommending Christy Reese for
Christy
park
Reese.
position.
That's filling a vacancy, Chris.
Yes, Dan Ralph resigned,
Okay.
and Dan has been on the park board for many years, remember him, around 18 years, I think. Dan was a valuable member of the park board, helped us in many ways, especially with soccer. And Christie is the manager at Hibbets, and she's willing to fill that position.
Christie Reese. Based on the park board's recommendation, it's my recommendation to the council that they'll approve that park board member Christie Reese, appoint Christie to the park board. Second. All in favor? Let me read. I'm gonna read it. Let me read a letter from Dan. It's to the park staff, park board members, and the city council. I'm writing this letter to inform you of my decision to resign as board member of the Winfield Park and Recreation Board effective immediately. While serving as a member on the board, I have seen much growth and improvements in the park, and I'm truly honored to have been part of it. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be a board member for these many years. I look forward to watching the park continue in progress in the years to come. Yours sincerely, Dan Ralph. Next item on the agenda is Tier 2 employees. Let me see if I got anything on there. Where's my?
In your last paper, you all had a copy of this. This shows the annual.
We haven't discussed this last week.
We haven't discussed it, but you did have this in your paper box.
Did everybody had this letter? Is everybody familiar with Tier 1, Tier 2 with the state or with the retirement systems? Let me read this letter from the Alabama Retired State Employees Association. Last year, the legislature passed a law authorizing the city of Winfield to offer Tier 1 retirement benefits to Tier 2. That means they were hired after 1/1/2013. Tier 2 employees. After that date. That's when they were considered Tier 2. This new law allows you to provide better retirement benefits for current and future employees while simultaneously giving your city a tool to recruit and retain quality workers in coming years. ARSEA appeal worked with Alabama League of Municipalities to draft and pass important legislation. It says our estimated annual cost to provide a better retirement benefit for your Tier 2 employees is $4,732. If we act on this, there'll be a resolution number, probably 1267. I guess if you've got a resolution, a copy of a blanket resolution. What it does is it provides pretty much the same retirement package for Tier 2 as it does Tier 1.
This is a good breakdown of it right here. These two little sections. Currently, we have 10 employees. That quote is on 9 employees.
How many?
We currently have 10. That quote is on 9 employees because we just hired a policeman. In Tier 2, employees have to work till they're 62 years old. Tier 1 employees can retire after 25 years.
got roughly 55, we got 10 that's not.
And it's not.
Our estimated cost yearly was, what is it, say, 47?
4,700
And that's not including the last employee that we hired. I mean, the municipality close to us that has mostly tier 2 members, theirs was like 20-something.
will cost you roughly
So-
$500 an employee. Has anybody got any comment?
Some of this comes from the employee too.
Sir?
Some of this comes from the employee, because what they do is if they choose to participate, the employee chooses to participate, their percentage goes from 5% to 7.5%
Right.
per
Yeah.
paycheck. So some of it's them, and there is some cost to us, but it allows them to still retire after that same number of years, just like a tier 1, rather than having to work till 62 regardless of the number of years.
So currently, we have, regular employees, and their participation, they're paying in at 6%, where your FLC, which is your fire, law enforcement, they're paying in at 7%. This would bump that percentage to, I think, 7.5 and 8.5 is what it says on that. But it does not affect any current tier 1 member we have, and their rate stays at what they're paying in now. So it doesn't affect tier 1 members that we already have
Right.
at all.
Keep to go ahead and move to pass this resolution. Move everybody to that benefit. We got a motion by Anthony, gonna get a second. Tim?
Yeah, they will, but it's not something that's forced on us, you know what I'm saying? Those employees,
They got an option.
they got an option, they can stay as tier 1 or they can go to tier 2. So
Right.
we're not forcing that on them, we're giving them that benefit.
It's their decision.
Their option.
If all of them did, it'd be roughly costing us $500 per employee, right now what we got. Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Tim made the second.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're gonna make some happy people.
Ma'am.
On behalf of the police department, I appreciate it.
Next item on the agenda is old business. Is either one of the council members got any old business?
I feel like we need to move it up to the park. I've heard that was the reason all of it shut down. And I feel like we need to move that to all the government stuff.
You got any, you want to elaborate, or is that your statement you want to see the park open back up?
Yeah, no, that's and it's all, yeah.
What? Hold on, what do you mean, what are you talking about, what are you talking about the street department?
They close the gate every 9 o'clock, everything's outside, bring in garbage or whatever. They pay for that figure to be able to do enough, if we're not able to get to it.
Okay, what was you saying? Yeah, the library been closed.
That's kind of an inside thing.
Okay. Can y'all hear what they're talking about over there?
Use your microphone.
I don't think that, it's not cordless. If you've got, would you have anything to say on behalf of either one of those?
I mean, I'm with Anthony on the street, I mean, not the street, but the park. I mean, I know we've got issues with that road. Obviously, we've got 2 entrances to that park. If we have to go in one way and out the other way, we've got a youth football program, but you know this. It's an evening practice and a week behind. I mean, if we can get them in there to practice and start tomorrow, we'll not be saying that. I mean, they're ready. So, I mean, we've got to get them in there.
The schools are going back. Football's practicing, I mean, all the other towns, most of all the other towns, parks are, I mean, why we lost it, there's something to do.
So So I kind of gathered that that's why the biggest majority of the crowd's here tonight is because of Toy Bowl football.
Yeah.
Let me explain a little bit, because when I always like to explain how things kind of go down when it seems like a lot of times when things end back up at the city council meetings. I'm not against protesting and none of that. If people've got, you know, a protest, a reason to protest, or a reason to gather up a posse to come to try to voice their opinions on why, and try to, you know, usually numbers the majority rules. I mean, that's like the council. When the council votes, the majority, whether 1 or 2 says no, if 3 says yeah, well, the majority rules. So coming in a group of people to represent the park, I do represent the Toy Bowl. I do appreciate y'all sticking together to do that, but I want you to understand, as a group of protesters or a group of concerned parents about Toy Bowl football and practicing. Can everybody hear me back there? Can you hear me in the back?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The decision to close the park was not a mayor and council decision. I first want that to be understood, because we got park board members. We've got people that give their time to serve on the park board to represent that park. As you see, the park board members requested that somebody be put on the park board in a replacement of somebody else. Based on their request, this council voted to allow them to put that member on that board. And they're going to serve their time trying to make the park the best place that it can be. The decision was left up to the park. If it was their decision, it was left up to them and how they felt they should handle the community center and how they felt they should handle activities in the park. Now, that being said, nobody likes social distancing and mask wearing, no worse than I do. I don't like it either. But we've kind of, as a council body, have kind of went by the governor's guidelines as to how to handle this situation. And I'm sure the school, the superintendent and the different ones at the school, I drive a school bus, and there's going to be a lot of guidelines of how we do it or whatever. I'm all for it. The kids needs to be back in school. They need to be playing sports. They don't need to be tied up at home or in different things. But for it to come back on us, I think a lot of times when it comes back here, it's like the decision wasn't the decision that the people wanted to hear. But I was told 2 weeks ago that the park board had already okayed for football practice to start, for them to start to have football. I didn't learn until yesterday when people was telling me that there were going to be a group of people here complaining because they couldn't practice. I mean, that's the first I've heard of it. There hadn't anybody come to me discussing or asking why they couldn't practice, because I didn't know nothing about it. And I don't know that any of these members did, unless it was another family member or somebody in the community that said, hey, they're not, why won't they let us practice? Why ain't the park open? Nobody's said anything to me. And I feel like that 9 times out of 10, a problem or an issue can be solved with communication with one and another, instead of having to gather a group of people to take away their time at home with their families eating supper to come to try to get something accomplished. I believe it could have been accomplished by communication. I think Todd might advise Gina that we need to look at it, let the city, since it's a city park, let the city council make the decision to open or close it. Initially, we didn't do that. Initially, we left it up to the park director and the park board. I have no problem, I don't have a problem with the park being open. But what bothers me is the state, how the state of Alabama and the Department of Public Health, when there wasn't 20 cases, had all these restrictions and different things. Now that we're at 2,000, it's lesser restrictions. So it's kind of like it's kind of not, don't make sense really if you're trying to do more now with more cases. You're trying to allow more to happen with more cases, when before there wasn't just a few cases and there was less things allowed. But I personally, myself, in my opinion, thinks that life goes on. We need to get on with it and go on, but we need to be safe doing it. As the council members have already said that they won't see things open back up, I want people to understand, but I'm the same way. That's how I am. I want to see things opened up. I mean, fortunately, my business, everybody knows I've got a business down here. My business has been going like it's supposed to. But there's a lot of people that had to be laid off, and some people, small businesses, it hurt them because they wasn't allowed to have business and sales tax and sales to keep their business afloat. But I feel like these guys that's working with me here, if they had known in advance, it wouldn't have got this far. And I think it caught everybody blindsided because we wasn't expecting that when the park voted to allow football to go, we wasn't expecting that we had an issue with the park being closed. But I mean, I just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that it wasn't a mayor and council decision to close the park. If we did did y'all ever remember voting or taking a vote or talking about closing the park, us voting to close the park? Was that ever brought to the council, to the mayor and the council? I mean, I've looked back on minutes and it wasn't brought to the mayor and the council. But based on what happens in Montgomery and the things that comes back, social distancing, keeping 10 or less people 6 foot apart, based on those things, I'm sure that was part of why the decision was made. I don't have a problem myself with the park being open back up. I mean, I don't see.
Mayor, let me speak to that. As I said outside a while ago, I'll be the huckleberry because I'm probably.
Explain to them what a huckleberry is.
Well, I'm quoting from that movie Tombstone when, he thought he was going to fight Wyatt Earp, and Doc Holliday showed up and he said, "I'm your huckleberry, so you're not fighting Wyatt Earp, you're fighting me because I'm the one that's here." So I probably created some of this problem, and we have created all of the problem, quite frankly. But Gina contacted me after the park board voted and told me what they were planning to do. And because the city, we're still doing meetings up here. We were having Zoom city council meetings. We've got the library closed. We've got certain things that we're still being restrictive about. I didn't necessarily say that the city should come up here and get the city's blessing on that, but really somebody from the park board needed to advise the council or the city what the park board's plans were, just to make sure that there is no conflict between what the city thinks should be done and what the park board thinks should be done. So, if I created the problem, I apologize, but I was just trying to promote communication between the park board and the city, and
That's probably my fault, and I owe the parents a apology, the kids an apology. Because the city council didn't vote to close the park, I didn't think I should bring this back to the council, but I probably should have done it as a courtesy, so I apologize to y'all.
That's what
I should have brought it up here before Brett came to me and got it approved, and then we could have moved on.
That's what I said.
I apologize to all y'all for what happened.
I think it's just a communication issue, I think, on that behalf, on that. It's not blame somebody or blame this. It's just bad times, the way everything is right now. And I mean, the cases, the amount of cases building up, the governor's saying do this, and the health department saying do this, or whatever. I just feel like it was a communication error to start with. But I just knew the council hadn't voted to close the park. That being said, with the library, I left it up to Gina with the library to use her judgment because of how I feel like those people. It's just like Brett's got to handle the police department. If he has a case or two, if he has a case come in, or if he has somebody that's been with somebody that was positive, tested positive, he's got to address that issue. I don't know that every time that stuff like that needs to come back to the council when we have. I feel like that department should, unless we tell that department head, well, we need to go to the council in 2 weeks and see what they want to do. So that's kind of why I left it up to the department heads, because we only meet every 2 weeks, and these issues happen, changes every day I mean, we get calls every day, so-and-so's wife is tested positive, what do we need to do? I mean, it happens every day, and then so-and-so, we got an issue, so-and-so's kid has been with somebody that's tested positive. I mean, we have to make those decisions every day as how to handle it with that employee. And that's why I felt like that it needed to be handled with that department head, with informing what their plans are and working together to try to come to the right solution. Knock on wood, I think we've done pretty good in each department, in the police department and in the city hall. I think we've done really well with how we've handled it. We've tested when we thought we needed to be tested. And in the hospital, I mean, I'm sure some doctors' offices probably will test might test anyway, but there's got to be so many symptoms before some of them even test you, whether you've been with them or not. But we got some cases that they don't have any symptoms to be tested, but we got concerns because they've been exposed to somebody that's positive. I mean, we're just trying to, in me and the department heads, we're just trying to keep it at bay and under control. I mean, but it's kind of, up in the air, really. How do you handle it? How do you deal with it? But I mean, if the council would like to see it done different, instead of letting department heads and boards make the decision with that department, I mean, I'm okay with whatever the council wants to do, but I thought we was kind of handling it pretty well the way we were doing it. But I'm open for any suggestions that the council may have if we need to do it any different. If I don't, I mean, we'll keep.
I got some more old business.
Well, as far as where we're at on the park today, I mean, where are we at today?
So, we open?
Yeah, we're gonna open the park. We're gonna open the park. We've got Mr. Tim Estes is helping with that, which I don't think that they've had some issues with that water line that runs through that ditch, but I think we've had some volunteers from different areas to help fix that water line to where they have water down there. Other than that cover, get the cover to go back in that ditch, we're good to go. And I mean, that's I think that right, Chris. Everything.
I got some information on the cover. I talked to him. In the covers, the park, I went to the park board meeting the other day. They paid for one cover, the city paid for the other. $2,400, right? Okay, we need the oblong kind of type of cover, the flat bottoms. And 59 inches tall, 81 inches wide, 30 foot long, 36, a little over, nearly $3,700. And I asked him would he be interested in purchasing, buying new covers now, he don't need it. But could we use them covers of Shadowwoods, going into Shadowwood Apartments?
No, it's gonna be probably a box cover built there with that CV.
We can use them covered somewhere else. The park, we owe them either $2,400 if we take the cover, or we can take their 24 and allow it towards the two covers. But he's willing to fix it. We get the covers, he's willing to fix it all. Free of charge, no cost.
Where'd you come up with the sizes?
Here, got it for you. So that,
Engineer shop.
yep, we made it with it. I went down there with him, we made it. Other than that, and that's what he said we need.
Yeah.
Which I know you had talked to him about concrete, so.
Well, I have
They
been.
galvanized, but, I mean,
They make aluminized too, and there's another real hard material that's not plastic, but it's a really yeah, it's some kind of. That's what I've been working on, and I've took and been Luke Porter's handling this FEMA money that we're trying to get, and I'm trying to get it to where we're being reimbursed by FEMA for what we've done down there, and what we've got to do down there. That's where I'm at on it. And
But what I understood was, you can still do the FEMA, but we need to go ahead and, FEMA will still reimburse if they will, but we can go ahead and finish the
Right,
project.
there's some stipulations when you change what's in there as to whether or not FEMA will guarantee, you don't have a guarantee if you make changes. If you fix it back, there's pretty much a guarantee you get reimbursed, but when you make changes, you may not be able to get it, and that's what I've been trying to clarify. I mean, but we'll go ahead and stick a pipe in there, it don't matter to me.
Well, I mean, I feel like, but the only difference about this, the community center floor still ain't been fixed.
What now?
The community center floor is still not been fixed.
Have y'all decided, as the council decide what they want to do?
I thought we voted on it a long time ago. I thought we voted on it.
I don't think you have.
I remember doing something about the floor.
I thought we voted, Chris, can you? I thought we voted to fix it instead of just patching it. I thought we voted.
How,
fix it
how,
completely.
you remember that? How was they gonna fix it?
The fact saying the fake drain busted that sewer line and had to replace that whole sewer, and we checked.
Yeah, what I recall is that it's not a permanent fix yet, and then we're looking at having to tear the floor back out if we fix that floor at the. Yeah. Right. You come up here where he can hear you.
He's in there, we voted to fix it.
Not,
Yeah, I remember like she was saying it.
I don't think we voted. Just let her
You
know.
voted in March, I believe, to redo it completely because the pipe is so rotten under there and it's washed out under it. And I think it was like 15,000 that y'all approved in March. When Fed Sewer and Drain came back out to look at the job to do it, the owner didn't want to go ahead and bust it all out and do it. He wanted to leave it till there was a problem. And then I talked to you about just tiling it, and it was between 2,000 and 3,000 just to tile it, but that was just a temporary fix for a problem.
So here, what was it? Did you say temporary?
The problem is, there's a deal where it doesn't meet, where they repaired it on the original time that sewer and drain came out, and Miss Edna is gonna fall. That's what concerns me. I think it's a really big job with a lot of jackhammering.
It's all under the slab. Yeah, but it was a
He said he
temporary
would do it,
fix.
but he won't.
Tile, it's temporary.
I'm not sure.
We approved 15 grades.
Tell him
In March, I approved to fix it.
the floor, but not to finish, to complete the sewer.
Y'all approved tomorrow, we wanted to completely fix it, whatever.
The sewer,
Yes, sir.
but the fat drain didn't want to do it.
That's
That's
right.
what I didn't understand why.
I'm not sure why they didn't want to. When they came out before, they were gonna go with the second time, and they were like, let's wait till it's a big problem.
Did they give you a quote?
It was 15,000.
Mayor, my recommendation, well, if they're not going to do it, let's call someone else
Yes.
and see if it fits. If we got to prove it, she says so loud.
Look back at the
I can't
minutes,
remember
that's
what
what
the
I
question
recall.
was. You know, if we
Well, what-
approve it, we need to get it fixed.
Here's my thing, we approved it, but we have senior citizens coming down there. And we have one accident, and we're gonna wish we could fix it. I mean, it's bad, I've seen it, and it, to be honest with you, it's just like that cover down there. Kid fall off, we got to get that fixed. I mean, because that's a fault, I mean, that's, I'm trying to be, I'm not being hard to deal with, I'm just saying, we gotta fix it. And, I mean, I know what you're saying, concrete covers, but if they're gonna cost us $7,000-8,000,
It wasn't so much checking on concrete as it was getting FEMA to reimburse us.
I know, I mean, I'll go ahead.
you know, some people like to fix something, go on. I like to fix it and not have to worry about it later. You know, that's the key thing. That's the key thing. If you want, you know, y'all decide. I mean, but if you're gonna say you want to call somebody else, find out who it is you want to call, or designate somebody. You know, designate who you want it to be to call them or take care of them. All I do is make recommendations, and y'all vote them or up or down.
Well, them one covers outlast me.
Sir?
Them one covers, if we get them covered up outlast me, I won't get here when they need replaced.
Probably will.
Because they'll
I
last
put
about-
some in '98 and they're gone.
Well, I think these last about 30 years, that's what the engineers do.
I mean, y'all voted.
But,
I have one more question if I can call you. Could you clarify reopening the park? Do you mean reopen the community center to facility rentals as well?
Just ask them.
If you do, I need to know about your social distancing guidelines for rentals on the weekends, because we're not there to make sure that's part of the governor's guidelines, so I'd just like to know your feelings on it.
Our recommendation for the park board was to reopen the park and hold up on opening the community center.
I agree with you.
I do too.
Thank you.
Now, yeah, we didn't, I don't think we have to act on that. But,
Like I said, that's all I wanted.
yeah,
I just wanted there to be communication, because I didn't want the city to be doing one thing and the park to be doing something totally opposite on how we handle a situation, because that creates a problem, that creates confusion in the public. And all I was trying to do was to promote communication, and I guess I got right in the middle of a hornet's nest and didn't realize it. I didn't realize I was, jobbing a hornet's nest, but obviously I was, so.
all right, let's go back to what Tim was saying in the library. Are y'all saying you want me to tell Regina to open the library back up?
That's why I said I won't need to discuss it, because
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not saying open it, just say it.
need to know what we want to do. So what's your thoughts on the library, Chris?
I don't.
My thoughts is, you would get with Regina and get her thoughts, if she feels like she can, practice social distancing in there, she's comfortable with the opening, proper amounts like we are here, I'm fine with that. But if she's not, then, we'll continue to keep it closed until a later date.
Let her make the decision.
Well, I mean, if she thinks she can keep everyone, social distancing in there, she limits the amount of people that comes in there, if it's 10 or 12 or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So that would be my recommendation, that limit how many come in.
She's got to come up with some guidelines, like how many can be in there. Of course, right now, Max are mandated social distance, like I said. I think she needs to come up with some guidelines before we go any
You want
further.
to kind of tell her that the council would like to see her open it up and go by the governor's guidelines, what the governor's put out, health department, state health department. You all okay with that?
If she's able to do that. When I say definitely do it, she can work it.
She may be following the library, state library board as well, I don't know, you may want to ask her that.
Well, if you're telling me that it's kind of telling, I'm just gonna kind of go to her and say that y'all, the council would like to see if we open the library up with following certain guidelines that's in place with either your library board or, the state library board and the health department.
Yeah, if it's doable.
Huh?
If it's doable.
Yeah.
She got some.
Okay, now as far as y'all want to tell, you want Rob to open the gate from 7:30 to 2:30, 3 o'clock, or whatever time it was. Has anybody else got any comments on the city, shop, the gate to the dumpster being closed?
I think they'd be open.
From the time they get there to they don't.
He wants to lock
Okay.
inside the building, that's fine.
Well, part of the problem he's having up there is that the dumpster. It's against the law for people to put household garbage in that C and D dumpster. And they're not somebody up there all the time at the city shop. And they're dumping household garbage in there. Pace Industries, I think, is who we're using up there. Is it Pace or Heights? Both. We use both Pace and Heights. They can quit bringing a dumpster because they get fined, they will get fined if a state comes out and sees that there's household garbage in their dump site. Because it's very strict. Household garbage being in C and D is very strict with the state of Alabama.
So we got a green dumpster the other year. We got that one back here, and they're throwing the household garbage in it, and they're not throwing it in this and that.
Correct.
But we got to clean in the back, but
That and they're throwing stuff out on the outside.
Yeah, because they can't be,
Right.
I don't think they should be.
Right.
What about, we need to take bids on it, what we need.
What do y'all tell me what you
What
want
do
to do.
we need to do? You need to talk to them.
Anthony wants to know what y'all want to do with the floor at the community center. How you want to fix it right?
You want bids on that?
Last group didn't want to do it, like Chris said, when they get somebody else that will.
That's repairing the sewer system. So you want to fix the sewer problem before we fix the floor. If he's saying the floor is urgent now, fix
No,
it.
I'm saying fix it. We need to fix the sewer, but we don't need to wait 6 months and then fix the floor. I want to fix the sewer.
Yeah, get that sewer bid, get it over, they grind and put tile, fix it right, you know.
Was the 15,000 just for the sewer, or the sewer and the floor?
Yep, that's just the sewer, because they don't do floor.
I couldn't remember.
They bust, what it is the pipe's decayed underneath that slab. It's come apart. Poor design when it's built.
Do they pour concrete back at all?
I think they put Quick Creek back over it.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Was it being that kind of money, we got to put up bids?
It's like,
Get a contractor to come in there.
I mean, you can bid anything. We can bid anything. I mean, we need probably, what you need to do, always remember when you bid something, you kind of want an engineer to put out a bid spec, a bid sheet, to where everybody's bidding on the same thing. So-and-so ain't gonna say, well, I'm gonna do a floating floor, so-and-so say, I'm gonna do a tile floor. If you do a tile floor, you need to specify that that's what you want and how thick a tile, how you want it fixed, how you want it, different things. You need to have specifications if you put it out for bid.
I mean, we don't have to hire an engineer to tell us how to fix this. I mean,
What I'm saying is though, you need to have, when you put it for bid, you need to make sure everybody's bidding apples to apples.
yeah, just make a sheet. They got a bid on that sheet, the way we want it done.
I mean, most of the time, when we bid or take bids on anything at the park for the community center, a lot of times the park board and works with Gina, and they come up with they come back with a recommendation to this board, this council, that we've got these bids, and this is the bid that the board has voted that we need to accept. Are you wanting that board to handle that, taking care of the community center, or you want the council to take care of it?
I can give it to me, Bobby, Chris, Bobby, water main, we'll go down there and we'll see what we gotta do, and we'll write down on a piece of paper, we'll bring it back to the council.
Just
I mean, I don't,
You don't have to bring it to council if that's what the council agrees, just put it out for bid.
well, we'll just put it out for bid. Yeah. We'll just get everybody in there. Yep.
Sir?
It'd be better to get it, because that covers the roof, we can go back.
Yep.
Do that.
I'm gonna be fair. I did.
What if you don't get any bids?
Guess we're gonna find somebody to fix it, but let somebody fix it for us. All right.
No, it's not.
I know one right offhand, right there, that needs to be fixed.
All right, so we're gonna tell Rob to open.
What about the cover? What about the cover?
Hold on a minute, we'll get to the cover. Jump, you don't need to handle, since you brought it all to the table, we need to go, we've set a guideline, we're gonna let Regina with the library, because we want the library open, but she needs to follow certain guidelines and the way things is in order. Okay, and then we're going back to the Rob, to the closing the city shop gate to the dumpster. That's where we're at right now. You want me to tell him to open that gate from time they get there in the morning and close it when they leave in that afternoon?
my personal opinion, I've been hearing a lot of people complaining because they open from 7 to 8. Dumpsters open from 7 to 8.
I hear it too.
A lot of people work, and a lot of people can't. So, that, I mean, you know, and their hours are from 7 to 3:30, so a lot of people's hours are from 7 to 3:30.
I'm telling you why he closed it.
Well, they wanted to know why he went from the second Saturday, from the first Saturday to the second Saturday.
I don't know anything about that.
I mean, I don't know, I didn't know he did that.
Me either. I know they was open last week. That's the first Saturday.
They started in the first
My-
and the third.
In July, he went from the first Saturday to the second, because 4th of July fell on the first Saturday. And then in August, he went back to his normal first and third Saturday schedule. But the holiday is what messed July's schedule up.
So messed up one time.
Yeah, with the 4th falling, July 4th falling on the first Saturday, he waited and opened the third Saturday in July. But in August, he went back to first and third.
So you say that if he leaves it open all day long, people stole the trash.
I kind of feel like if you're gonna discuss that Rob, that's his department, I kind of feel like he should be here, but I'll do whatever y'all say do. If you say tell him to open the gate, I'll tell him he needs to open that gate.
Well, I mean, we can take it, we just take it away.
Sir,
We can take it, and just get him to come to the next meeting.
Can do that too.
7 to 8.
I'm just waiting on the orders.
What do you
Table
think?
it, and ask him to come, would be my recommendation.
Sir.
Table the issue and ask him to come to the next meeting, would be my recommendation.
Okay, Chris made a recommendation to get Rob to come to the next council meeting to discuss the dumpster issue. That's what everybody wants to do. All right, now back to the cover. What do you want to do about the cover?
I think we need to fix it. We got a man down there willing to fix it.
Ain't nobody agrees with that more than I do. It needs to be fixed.
We got a
How you
man-
want to fix it?
Huh?
How do you want to fix it?
I'd say get them covers. What they talking about, put them in.
Anybody, any of y'all got any other comment? Anybody else got any?
So the 2 covers we got was wrong, right?
Right.
It's not per specs.
Well, they're right. Maybe saying they're right.
They gotta be old.
They gotta be old, flat bottom.
Mayor, the 2 covers we got, can we exchange them for the correct ones that we
I had nothing to do with the covers. I don't have a clue. I didn't,
Who ordered those?
did I order them?
No, who ordered? Can we get them, can we exchange them for the correct ones?
I think they were special orders, and I own that, I ordered the old ones, and I tell you why. The bottom was rusted completely out of them, and so we thought they were round. We didn't know they were square, so that's my fault.
Mayor, have you seen the ones that she's got?
Have I seen what she's got down there?
Yes.
It's just like what was took out down there.
Can, other than they're not round,
It's what she's got's round.
that she
Yeah,
had a
well,
flat
in there
side,
was-
bottom right, yours were bottom flat on the bottom?
Because that's the one.
Either way, can, the ones that she's got, can we use them anywhere else in the sequence?
Can we use them
I
over there
think-
anyway? Where's the rubber fall? Where's the work over there? These are
Can
seven
we,
foot covers.
what about midway?
No, we're working on grants. We're working on FEMA, working with FEMA to try to get a grant to fix that on Midway, or it'll be a permanent fix. But what's in there now is an old rail car pipe or something. I mean, it's not even covered. It was back in the 30s or when it was put in there. It's got rivets around it. I mean, it's just an old type pipe.
Right.
Though, we got an engineer working on that, and they're engineering a box cover, which will be concrete, to where we won't have that problem, you know, and it's not going, they're not going to use pipe at Regal on that CDBG, They're not gonna use pipe on the FEMA, on Midway Drive. I mean, that culvert, how big's that culvert? Did you measure the one that's down there? How big is it? We don't really have, the only other openings that I can think of that's that big is on Posey Lane. I think Posey Lane may have a culvert that's nearly that size that Rob has been down there and done some work on, and that other one may be, I think there's another one on Lake. I'm not sure how big that one is on Lake Drive.
Well, I was just trying to figure out some of the stuff that we could use. What about this? I mean, why don't we go ahead and put those on good deals, cover them, we could sell them somewhere, maybe only lose, hopefully not lose no money, cover our money, more than the other two, and go ahead and fix that at the park. That's what I think.
I know what you're talking about with the culverts, if you change size, when we did the flood claim, they had to be apples to apples unless you got special permission to upsize. It was mitigation that had to go through. So I know what you're talking about, but question, could we possibly sell those big culverts to ears? Maybe get a discount, because they could probably use them. Did you?
I tried that, and he don't have no use for that big of a cover. He don't need it nowhere. But he's willing to put them completely in there and do it right. And, I mean, I think that's a blessing we need to take advantage of.
Obviously, it's gotta be fixed.
I think anybody here in the room knows that needs to be fixed. You got a big old ditch down there, it's like, no, we ain't gonna fix that. I mean, we've spent $250,000 on lights at the park, we put a new roof on the Boy Scout building. I mean, we're constantly doing work down there, and then we're gonna sit here and say, well, we're gonna fix it or not.
No, we gotta-
It ain't a matter of that, it's a matter of trying to control the expense. But I mean, evidently the speed that it's getting done is not fast enough. So I'm leaving it up to y'all to tell me what you want to do, and that's what we're going to do. I mean, that's simple. I mean, y'all tell me what you do.
It's not the speed that's not getting fixed. It's the community raising Cain with the council. Why is it still like this when it's been 3 or 4 months?
But is
So I was elected by the people, so I'm bringing it to the table.
Okay,
That's what I'm doing.
I'm sure they appreciate that for you, but
I'm not trying to get no votes or nothing, I'm just bringing it to the table, because I went down there and looked, and it's a big old hole, and it's $3,700 for a cover. We got a man down there that's willing to fix it for free. Can the city afford $3,700 for a cover?
done bought the one that with the park, bought the ones down there now, did
Yeah. I mean, $3,700.
you know?
Order to cover.
It's like we started in the very first of this meeting. I mean, I don't know why, I don't know why at some times, at some points, that when the public really gets underneath people's skin like it did me, because one council member asked me not to get on no rant and raves, and now I start trying to calm down, not getting on a rant and rave, and then another council member comes in, they want to get on a rant and rave. The problem with the culverts is you're getting complaints from this and this and this and this, and which we know, it's people that use the park that's going to complain. We pave roads where we've made this person over here mad because we didn't pave that road. I mean, it's all about being able to afford it and do it at the right time when we can pay for it. That culvert is already, I've already got pricing on that culvert to fix it, and I'm weighing out the best way to do it. And it's a matter of a 2 or 3 day decision to put that culvert in there and fix it, and then bring it back to the council and tell them exactly what I've come up with. This is the grade pipe that we're looking at. This is the length that we're looking at. This is what we're going to be able to get reimbursed for. And if we go this way, we won't get reimbursed. It takes a little bit to draw that kind of stuff out. And I'm like everybody else. I'm a minute man. I want it done right now. But when it comes to the money part of it, a lot of times it's better to put all your ducks in a row before you make a split decision. Stick a pipe in there and cover it up. I mean, we can do that tomorrow. I appreciate bringing it, but it's not like I don't know it. I mean, I know it. And I get complaints all the time. I get complaints about trees. I get complaints about power lines being torn down. I get complaints. The best thing to do is don't forget them, try to get things and get it organized. We had a tree that needed to be cut, we got it cut, got it cleaned up, we got a pipe out. I got 2 different people working on prices for that pipe, different kinds of pipe, to make sure we put the right pipe in there. I mean, but when it gets to where we're gonna make a minute decision, I'm out. I mean, I'm gonna let y'all make that decision.
Well, I ain't decided this on my own. I talked to a man who puts it over 10.
I'm
I do pretty much every day.
But it's
You know, I
always,
mean, but there's times, sometimes, Reggie, we can't afford to spend $15,000. I don't know what the concrete numbers are coming. I understand concrete's better than what we got.
where'd you get concrete covered?
Did you want concrete numbers down there?
No, I said we'd check the price of concrete covered, we'd check the price of the heavy duty plastic, we'd check the price of aluminized, we'd check the price of galvanized. I mean, that's where we're at, where I could bring it back to the council. It ain't nobody said we're gonna go put a concrete covered in there. And it was asking the engineer, will FEMA cover us if we changed the change what was in there? If we lengthen it, will they cover it? If we raise it and put a different one, put 2 beside each other, will they cover it? Those questions is what we've been discussing.
I thought, the way I understood it, FEMA, you went ahead and fixed it, and then they come down there, and they decide, but it might be a year and a half.
No, it's not gonna be that way. We can go ahead, it's just like over here on Cherokee, where we went in there, we had the water problem that we're gonna have again, possibly if it starts back raining until we get it ditched right on both sides. They're gonna reimburse us when we put the asphalt on it to smooth that out. Just like over here on Berry Road, they're gonna reimburse us when we put that in there if we get this other grant. If I get this grant that I'm working on down here on Midway, they will reimburse us these others. That's called a major project. These others are minor projects. I mean, I'll do whatever y'all want to do. But I'll tell you, it goes back to where I started out in the very beginning, is communication. If somebody came to me and said, listen, so-and-so's been on me, can you tell me where we're at on this covered issue and what we're working on, what you're doing? I said, yeah, I'll explain to you what I've been doing, but there again, y'all make the decision. If you want to do it a certain way, all you gotta do is tell me that's the way we'll do it.
Where, in your opinion, where do you feel that you are in the process of getting bids on that, part issue of those covers? Do you think we'll know something within a month? I mean, the next
On
meeting?
pricing,
Yes, sir.
I've done got to. I've been on phone, been working with the engineer, but we'll probably have the pricing. I like one more price, have them all in.
So the next council meeting, we'll be able to make a decision.
I would hope to have something done before the next council meeting, but it's not necessarily, in my opinion, which you can correct me if I'm wrong if y'all want it to come back to the council, but it's not necessarily, I think what Anthony might be saying, but the park had already made the decision to fix it. They had already got Mr. Estes to come down there, and he had started fixing it, and then the pipe was wrong. And that's where we stopped at. He was there already doing it. He cleaned the tree up down there that had blowed over. He cleaned the tree and stumped stuff up. I met with him down there. He already had the pipe, was in the process of doing it, and the pipe was wrong. So that's when I got involved in it. After he had already come down there and had already started, and that's when I got involved. And I said, well, let me check this. Because of knowing that we might could save a little money on the pricing of the pipe, which the initial per foot was $134, I think, per foot, or 90, or it was 130 something, and I think the price that I got was around $89 to $90 per foot on the same type pipe that they were looking at, which I could have it 2 or 3 days. But I want us to make sure that's what it's just a matter of the council saying, okay, we're gonna pay to fix that pipe. And then I can tell you what figures.
The round pipe that you got a price on that pipe that's down there now?
I didn't price, I hadn't had nothing to do with that pipe that's down there now.
Okay. Well, that pipe that's down there right there, the same kind of pipe, that old pipe, would that not be as good?
If that's what the engineer, the county engineer.
About $120 a foot for the county, and it's 59 tall, and the widest part of it, there you go. It's a little bit wide, and it would be the the same type that we're just gonna put in there. It's around, look, it's 36 to the high 36s. You know, 3680, 3690, 3600. Right up to $3,700. A little bit low.
My recommendation, Mayor, would be to let you finish, get your other two bids and bring it back to the council on the next meeting,
How about if I,
or before that.
if I can let y'all know, and, when we can get it done, because we're gonna start having practice down there, I think we need to get the park back up to par.
Yes, sir. Before the next meeting, or when you get it, I'm good with that, okay,
We kind of, if it has anything to do with the city, the council, the park handles a lot of things on their own with the funds that they've got through donations and different things. But when we, I have to bring it before y'all when we start spending the money up here.
Right, but the park's lost about $30,000 this summer. It's over.
Yeah.
And I mean, it is a city park. And I understand with box lights, I understand that. I understand we need big paper roads and all that. But it's just, it's covered. We dug it out. Now we got a hole.
I don't understand what you're saying.
I'm just saying, we've got roads to fix, but that down there, it's got to be fixed before somebody goes off in the.
I don't think anybody disagree with you on that.
I think the same way.
All right, are we clear on, how we're gonna handle we're gonna try to get the floor. Are you clear on the floor?
Yeah, I'm gonna wait for Bobby, Regan. We'll come back to the beach.
Okay. All right, have you got any other business to bring us to? Chris? All right. The next item, what I've got on the old business is the, commercial development incentive agreement that we've been, talking with Ballard Builders, Warren Ballard. Have y'all all got a copy of this incentive agreement? Have you had a chance to read over that? We've talked about this. I need to, if everybody's okay with it, don't have any questions with it, I need to ask the council to approve this commercial development incentive. I think, which Todd, do you have the exhibits?
I've got, Mayor, I've got, two of them. There's one that I don't have, Mayor, because it's the last exhibit. It's the one that I don't have because it hasn't been exhibit C. It's the survey of the property we're getting back.
I think the expense, you got the expense exhibit of what's,
I didn't print it out, it's on my phone.
I think that,
But the number's in here, Mayor.
oh, it is in there?
The number is in here.
Okay.
I put those numbers in there.
Okay, yeah, I see it there.
That up here.
On number one, ask about it.
Yeah.
Where it says ask about it, where it's assigned, number one.
Well, that's the expense of what the road is.
And this is the access permit, this is gonna be an exhibit right here.
This is what the state says has to be done. That has to be done, and this number one is the estimate of doing that. Yeah. And I think, yeah, and I have spoke with him, and that would be started within the next 2 months. Y'all need to see that.
That's price right there.
And,
Yeah.
and this is an exhibit, that's the survey of the property that he's giving,
Right.
okay? And then the only other exhibit that I'm missing from this, Mayor, is a survey of the property that he's conveying to us
Right.
over there behind the city shop.
Right.
That was, at some point in time in the past, we had agreed to pay $40,000 for that piece of property,
Correct.
correct? So,
Right at just a little bit shy, about $36.
okay, so whatever it was, I'm putting that in here because we're getting that, plus we're getting the development that he's gonna do, Plus, we're getting the, entrance built to spec, to satisfy all that access point, and we're getting the rough end of a road that goes from that access point all the way back to our industrial property. And that's not gonna be I've defined rough end in here, it's not gonna be
Paved street.
a paved gutters and road bed ready to be paved. It's just gonna be a rough end when you cut it down the grade and handle the ditching and the water drainage. But it's quite a bit of benefit to the city, and I put that in there.
I need to ask for a motion to, second. All in favor?
No, yeah, no, Chris abstained, not
No.
engaging.
Anybody else got any other business other than that? The next item on the agenda is the accounts payable. I need to ask for a motion to pay the bill. Second. All in favor? I'm gonna need to amend the agenda and ask to go into executive session for a few minutes. We won't take any other action. We won't take any other action when we come back out. Motion. Second. Second. Amend the agenda and go into executive session. Second. Rusty, all in favor?
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/49 County News TV.